And President Biden will speak today on Russia's full-scale invasion. And many are wondering what the U.S. can do at this point to stop the violence. So let's bring in special report and Fox News chief political anchor Bret Baier. Bret, the president met virtually with the G7 leaders this morning. He was scheduled to speak at noon, and we've just found out that has been pushed just a little bit to 12:30 p.m. You hearing anything?
Yeah, well, that meeting in the Situation Room with his National Security Council, and then a virtual meeting with the G7 leaders. Remember, Germany is the president of the G7 this year, talking about next steps, talking about the next tranche of sanctions. As you talked about before, this was a tiered approach, and the first tranche got some criticism for not being hard enough. This next level of sanctions is a different ballgame, according to officials we're talking to. In that meeting this morning, also the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Treasury, with Treasury obviously playing a significant role in how sanctions are rolled out across the world. And the danger, obviously, is that other countries in Europe are going to feel this directly when these sanctions, especially on energy, are deployed. But stopping Putin is the #1 goal.
Yeah. Bret, you were listening to Carl a moment ago. What are you hearing or thinking or analyzing when it comes to the strength that the American president must show today?
I think that President Biden's whole playbook is to make sure that whenever he speaks with all of the world leaders, the allies, standing by his side and essentially singing from the same sheet of music, and thereby getting more powerful in the message that he's delivering. I was interested to see the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his remarks this morning. He obviously criticized and lambasted this move by Putin and said the world needs to stop it. But then he went on to say how important this was for the world because it sends a message elsewhere. And he, specifically talking about China and Taiwan. And just this morning, Taiwanese Defense Ministry said that 9 Chinese airplanes crossed into their airspace. And the Chinese government said Taiwan is not Ukraine. And the Taiwanese president upped the military alert in Taiwan. So, you know, we were looking obviously through this soda straw in Kyiv, and it's really dangerous, and there's going to be fighting, and people are going to die, continue to die. But broader, there's a bigger message for the world.
Yeah, speaking of that, if you go back to 1994, in the agreement that was made as Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons as part of that Budapest meeting, that we would help protect Ukraine. And we are not doing that. So America and the West, once again, I mean, I guess they could say, well, we provided them some aid. But I think for the Ukrainians would think, well, like, this is not enough as they flee to the West. And now President Biden is getting ready, Bret, to give a State of the Union address in just a few days. And this next few days is going to be extremely busy for him. And he's going to have to show a lot of strength. And they're planning to be in the chamber on Tuesday night with a reduced size crowd, with everyone having to be masked up, even though most of the rest of the world has moved on from the pandemic or else figured out a way to live with it. It just feels a little bit discordant as we head into the State of the Union.
No, you're right. And it's going to be a challenge for this president to stream and tie all of those things together in a coherent message. This obviously takes front and center right now as the world watches this. But we have bigger issues. And now with crude oil and oil hitting $105, you start thinking about the implications for Americans down the road. And there's going to be a lot, I think, in this speech today about the costs and the suffering that we as Americans may face.
Thank you, Bret. We'll be back with you shortly as well, okay? 12:30, we expect the word.
No, that we'll be seeing Bret all day.
We shall.
All right.